salary sector. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm so glad that y'all are here. Welcome to another episode of the Hip Hop Review. This is your boy Reg in the building. Um, yeah, man. So pretty much this whole week so far has been crazy to say the least. And one thing I was not really planning on doing this review exactly today, but at the same time, I pretty much was listening to this album last night and wrote my notes for it, and it's like one of those albums that growing up it pretty much shifted hip hop to an ultimate different direction and stuff like that. It's like one of those transitional albums in my personal opinion. And the album I'm going to talk about today is 50 Cent with his debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying. Well, I'm gonna get into that. His major label debut, Get Rich or Die Trying. This was released on in 2003, February 6th to be exact. Singles albums known for are In the Club, 21 Questions, Many Men Wish Death, PIMP, and If I Can't. Um, Producers include 50 Cent, he's an executive producer. Dr. Dre is an executive producer. Eminem, executive producer. Sean Money, XL, Sean Blaze, Daryl Branch, Dirty Swift, DJ Rad, Terrence Dudley, Mike Elizondo, John J. Praise Freeman, Megahertz, Mr. Porter, dope producer. He did a lot of work with Eminem in the past. Red Spider, Reef, Rock Wilder, and DJ Quick. Um, then we got the guest appearances include Eminem, Young Buck, Tony Yayo, Nate Dogg, and Lloyd Banks. All right, what can I say about 50 Cent? Um, 50 Cent, man. What can I say about 50 Cent? At one point, this guy was legitly redefined hip hop. You know, he's an MC rapper, from Queens, New York City, and stuff like that, South Jamaica, Queens. And so, while you know, growing up, you know what I'm saying, his mom was like a drug dealer and stuff like that. And so, since his mom died and his father walked out on him, he had to be raised by his grandma. And so he pretty much, was interested in boxing when he was little, but then he eventually, started selling drugs and whatnot, and he started like being caught in the streets and shit. And so in '94, he was arrested for selling 4 vials of cocaine to an undercover cop. And he ended up being arrested a couple of times and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And he got his name 50 Cent from, of course, y'all should know, the Brooklyn hustler, Kelvin Martin, the real 50 Cent, Kelvin Martin and stuff. And so by the time, he got to the 90s, he started, rapping, started making like little tapes and shit like that. And one of his friends had introduced him to Jam Master Jay. Now you guys should know Jam Master Jay was the DJ to Run DMC, and also he was also had his own label too. He helped put on people like Onyx. He had his deal with J.O. Felony. He helped him out and shit like that. So yeah, man. And so his first appearance on Wax was on the Onyx track React from the Shut 'Em Down album, which the review is coming, y'all. Shut 'Em Down is coming. And so, Jam Master Jay was very instrumental in 50 Cent's early career because he helped him, like, play songs right, He helped him, like, place his rhymes right. He helped him, with his songwriting and shit like that. And so it was kind of crazy, too, because, in '99, he had signed to Columbia Records and he was getting ready to release like, his then unreleased official debut album, Power of the Dollar. And so in 1999, he came out with like the track "How to Rob," which that was like a very controversial. It was a very controversial track because he talked about robbing like a lot of famous rappers, singers, actors at that time. Like he had a line directed at people, everyone from Will and Jada to DMX to Big Pun. And a lot of people were not really cool about that. People like Jay Z, he got at him on the Volume 3, The Life and Times of S. Carter. I want to say on the track it's hot. I know Big Pun said some shit about him. Wycliffe got back at him and stuff like that. But to me, I feel like the Jay Z response was like the best known response when it came to the How to Rob song and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so, around this time too, he was getting ready. He was getting ready to work on his shit, and it was also around this time too where he had gotten into it, with Ja Rule and Irv Gotti of Murder Inc. Records, which I'm really not going to talk too well. I'm going to say a couple of things, but there's a lot of he said, she said towards beef and stuff like that. So I'm not really going to spend too much time until we get into like the meat of the story on like the background information. But and so end up happening was in March of 2000. Y'all should know that him and a couple of people from Murder Inc. got into like a fight outside the Hit Factory and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And so what ended up happening was, 50 got, 3 stitches and he was stabbed and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And so Black Shout, he actually thought that he actually was the one who caused the stabbing because he thought somebody was trying to reach out to get a gun on him. So later on in the year 2000, he was shot outside his grandmother's house. He ended up getting robbed and shit like that. And so what ended up happening because of that, there's a lot of theories on why he exactly got shot and whatnot. And so the main theory was because of the track Ghetto Quran, where Ghetto Quran, that was like a track, whereas he was mentioning like a lot of drug dealers from the 80s and stuff like that. And that was supposed to have been the one of the singles from Power of the Dollar. And so because of this track, it kind of got him kicked out of Columbia Records, and Supreme pretty much a lot of people thought Supreme had this thing to do with Blacklisting 50 and whatnot. Like, mind you, we didn't even get to when he met Eminem and Drake. The story already is crazy as hell, but mind you. So he got dropped from Columbia and stuff like that. And he started like building up his reputation through mixtapes, and this was what made 50 like exceptional because he was like really the first rappers to really like one of the first main rappers to really make a killing out of like mixtapes or whatnot and shit. So this led to fast forwarding to 2002, he had dropped the mixtape Guess Who's Back and stuff like that, and he dropped other mixtape, but the Guess Who's Back mixtape, man, that shit's fire, man. And so Eminem, he was a huge fan of the Guess Who's Back mixtape and things of that nature. And so he actually invited 50 to fly to LA and they met with Dr. Dre. And so, what ended up happening, Dre had a few beats that he was working on where 50 recorded I think about 6 or 7 songs a night. Some of them included like I want to say Heat and In the Club, and it's kind of crazy too because the fact that Ja Rule pretty much was saying Ja Rule was pretty much saying how he didn't that if Dre and Eminem let 50 like diss anybody on his label or himself, he was gonna come at F everybody on Aftermath, including Eminem and Dr. Dre. Well, we'll see how well that lasted, but but anyway, so in 2002, the same year, he had dropped the song Wankster, he dropped that on like the 8 Mile soundtrack, which that track right there was definitely, in my opinion, like his breakthrough track in my opinion. Um, definitely like very very dope shit right there. I always love the beat to Wingster. Always definitely had a nice like that early 2000s like ding 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 ding. I always love that fucking beat and shit. But yeah, man. And so he signed a deal with Aftermath Records and stuff like that. And his next mixtape came out was called No Mercy, No Fear. And so also a little trivia too. A lot of the instrumentals on this album, a lot of the instrumentals was actually supposed to have been for Rakim because Rakim, if you guys know about the history of Rakim, he had signed to Aftermath around like '01, I think '01 or '02, and him and Dre pretty much had some creative differences because of the fact that Dre wanted him to have like this gangster image, and Rakim he just wanted to take his time throughout his music and whatnot, and so they pretty much left terms. I mean, they didn't really have like a falling out. They just respectfully left terms because it was like different styles and whatnot. Me, after re-listening to this album, who knows how Rakim would have sounded like on these beats? Because part of me would have been like, maybe he could have. I mean, it's Rakim. I mean, it's Rakim and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So Rakim pretty much, he sounds fly in any beat he does, but it's something I've always kind of wondered and shit. You know what I'm saying? So this was the album that was released. Get Rich Die Tryin'. This is a very, 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 very influential album cover right here. Just has, you know, it looks like he's like looking in the mirror and then just so much on shooting at him, just saying like he's still here, he's still wrecking shit, you know what I'm saying? Dope back cover too. Alright, yeah, man. A lot of these pictures, man. If you're a 50 fan, you would have seen these pictures and shit. Yeah, man. I'm actually glad I'm actually reviewing this album too. I'm actually very glad and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because yes, spoiler alert. This is actually one of the newer albums that I'm just gonna talk about when I talk about the collection video on my birthday. Well, a little correction. I'm actually gonna start the birthday. I'm actually gonna start the birthday celebration at 11 o'clock instead of midnight. That way, I want it to actually be midnight and my birthday and whatnot. But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, this album has 16 tracks. So let's get this shit started. Track number one is an intro. It's pretty much a little short, but actually an original intro because you just have 50 like flipping a coin and you're hearing like the coin, laying on the table and stuff like that. And all these years, people kind of wonder about that. But he said that he made an intro like that to talk about his introduction, like 50 Cent, the coin and stuff like that. So I felt like that was a pretty dope intro. I fucked with it. Track number two, What's Up Gangsta? Love that track. I love that beat to that track. To be honest with you, when I think about What's Up Gangsta, it's like a braggadocio track, with him, just declaring his gangsterism with everybody. I mean, very, very, very dope track right here. I love it. Track number three, Patiently Waiting, featuring Eminem. This was actually produced by Eminem too. Yeah, you guys should know I'm not like the biggest fan when it comes to Eminem producing, but this is actually one of my a pretty dope beat from Eminem. Definitely a very dope beat. I mean, him and 50 always do magic together and shit like that. I love the line when he says, "Hold on." He said, "Picture me, pen in the hand, writing lines, knowing the source will quote it. When I die, they'll read this and say a genius wrote it. I grew up with that. My pop shit that make me bitter. I cop cases, I cop that. Does that make me a quitter? I mean, like, very, very dope line, you know. And it's kind of crazy too because he mentioned that line about the source because you know around that time, um, Eminem had his own issues with the source around that time too. Hmm. So yeah, very dope track right there. Him and M did their thing. Track number 4, Many Men Wish Death. To me, this is actually my favorite song off this album, and quite honestly, might be my favorite 50 Cent song. Period. This track right here was talking about like his shooting and stuff like that, and how motherfuckers always want to see him dead, always want to see him, you know, fail and fall between the cracks and shit. I mean, this whole track right here was fucking ill. I love the beat, love everything about this. You know, I love the line where he says, "Sunny days wouldn't be special if it wasn't for rain. Joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. Death gotta be easy, cause life is hard. It'll leave you physically, mentally, and emotionally scarred." And you know, a lot of people want to say like 50 is not like the strongest lyricist, but at the end of the day, one thing about 50, which I've always loved, especially when it came to this album, was the hunger with it all and stuff like that. Like he knows he's not the most lyrical rapper, and he knows that shooter messed up with his speech and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he's still gonna make y'all love him, and that's one thing I got from Many Men Wish Death. I mean, this whole track right here is just so chilling, man. Like, man, they're very, very dope track. Track number 5, In the Club. It's kind of crazy too because I never knew both Dre and Quick worked on this track for 50 and stuff like that. Because even before me reviewing this album, I never knew that DJ Quick actually worked on this album too. So that's kind of interesting right there, you know. But yeah, everyone knows this track right here, In the Club. Everyone knows this track. It's pretty much a classic song. Just that beat, dun 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 dun. Like, I mean, it definitely has like a lot of memories from me growing up. Little trivia y'all might not know. Apparently around like '05, 50 Cent he actually got sued. He actually got sued for this song because Uncle Luke, aka Luke Skywalker, of the Two Life Crew, he his manager told him that you know that they copied it. It's your birthday. We're gonna party like he copied that from the Uncle Luke song from the Freak for Life album that came out in '94. But that was later dismissed because the phrase was like a common phrase and whatnot. And you know it's kind of crazy too. Yeah, that's crazy as hell. You know, because y'all should know Dre and Uncle Luke had their own beef and whatnot, which I might talk about that one day. One day I might talk about that. But yeah, In the Club, classic joint. A lot of people made their own remixes to it. I think Beyonce made a remix to it too, believe it or not. So yeah, next track, High All the Time. Love, love this track. I love the beat to this and shit like that. Yeah, Eric. Yeah, Uncle Luke actually sued 50 Cent, pretty much. Yeah. But yeah, High All the Time. That's definitely a nice little party ass track. 50 said that he actually never smoked before. He actually never smoked or did any drugs or alcohol or nothing like that. But he was just feeling at the moment. He was feeling at the moment when he made this track. So High All the Time. Very, very dope shit. Then we're gonna get into Heat. Love this track. This should have also been a single. I think they had like a low budget video for this one, and yeah, this was actually one of the songs that was originally for Rakim and stuff like that. Yeah, Heat, very, very, very dope joint. One line that I do love when he says, It's in the hood summertime. It's the killing season. It's hot out this bitch. That's a good enough reason. I've seen gangsters get religious when they start bleeding, saying, "Lord Jesus, help me," because their ass leaking. I don't know. That line's always so fucking hilarious and shit like that because he's ain't caught up in that street life or whatever. But it is what it is on that one. That's a very dope joint right there. Um, next track, if I can't, again another classic joint right there. This was actually supposed to have been the first single off his album, but I think it was Eminem who kind of said that In the Club was more pop friendly because if I can't have more like a street tone to it, oh man, like this shit right here is definitely one of my all time favorite joints off this album. It's pretty much I love the fact that it was like a little party ass beat, but 50 was spitting some of the hardest shit. Like I love the Run DMC line in the first verse, love the chorus, love Dr. Dre doing the ad libs in the second verse and stuff like that. Like again, I mean, the song was still a single, but it was like the least successful singles compared to 21 Questions and PIMP. But man, it's probably my favorite single off this album. Track number 9, Bloodhound featuring Young Buck. This track was okay. I mean, I'm not like the biggest Young Buck. I mean, he has some dope joint, but I'm not like the biggest Young Buck fan and shit. But he definitely did deliver on this joint. Nothing really to it. So yeah, give me one quick sec. I'm gonna charge my laptop because it's actually about to die. Oh Lord. Okay. All right. Charge this shit up. There we go. All right. Sorry about that, but yeah. But yeah, this was a pretty dope joint. But I'll tell you this right now. I'm more of a Young Buck fan than a Tony Yayo fan. So I know each member of G Unit has their fans and whatnot, but I've always been like a 50 and Lloyd Banks fan. But yeah. Oh man. Back down. Well, oh my fucking god. This track is disrespectful. This again was produced by Dre. I mean, he was going after the whole Murder Inc. of this track right here. I love the intro was like G Unit, and then you have the female G Unit. I mean, yeah, this was a classic diss track. Like him just going in on Ja Rule. I mean, a lot of quotables came from this track too. Like, for example, I love the line where he says, "Use a Pop Tart, sweetheart. You soft in the middle. I'll eat you for breakfast. The watch was an exchange for your necklace. And your boss is a bitch. If he could, he would sell his soul for cheap, trade his life to be chug." Like, god damn, man. This line, he said, "Jay put you on. X made you hot. Now you run around like you a big shot." Like, because with Ja Rule, his big break came when he was featured on Jay Z's "Can I Get a" from the Volume 2 Hard Knock Life album and shit. And y'all should definitely know that Jay Z, DMX, and Ja Rule was supposed to have been formed a supergroup Murder Inc., which spoiler alert, that's gonna be an upcoming Beef episode and stuff like that. The whole rise and fall of the Murder Inc. crew, but I'm not gonna say too much about that. But yeah, man, this track right here. I mean, and I'm a Ja, and I like Ja Rule and shit. Like I'm not the biggest Ja Rule fan, but shit, it's crazy. I'm not the biggest Ja Rule fan, but this shit right here just went in. Um, Track number 11, PIMP. Believe it or not, I actually prefer the remix with Snoop Dogg, Lord Banks, and Young Buck. Believe it or not, but at the same time, this was a very catchy ass song. I don't know what you saying about me. Like everyone knows this shit. I mean, yeah, man, fucking dope track. Next track is Like My Style featuring Tony Yayo. I cannot stand Tony Yayo. Oh my god. But this track again was another decent, okay track. I feel like this was kind of like a filler track. Like he was just saying, if nobody likes his style, then there's nothing you can do about it because he's still getting money and shit like that. But yeah, I fuck with this track a little to an extent. You know, 50 he still did his thing. Track number 13, Poor Little Rich. Um, Poor Little Rich. What I got from this track, first of all, the beat by Sean Money XL was pretty dope. I like that beat. What I got from the song Poor Little Rich was how, he was enjoying, again, one of the other songs where he's enjoying his new lifestyle and stuff like that. Pretty solid joint. Track number 14, 21 Questions featuring Nate Dogg. You know, this track right here. Now, I love the track 21 Questions. I love anything Nate Dogg touches, to be honest. But I I think to myself this, like, you go after Ja Rule. You go after Ja Rule for pretty much making love songs and whatnot. Whereas you have a love song here, and mind you, like some of the lyrics on this track, I don't know, man. It was just a bit too cheesy and shit like that. Like, what was this one line? He said some shit about. He said some one shit. That I'm kind of looking at myself like, okay, if I didn't smell so good, would you still hug me? If I got locked up and sentenced to a quarter century, could I count on you to be there to support me mentally? And talking about you love me like a fat kid loves cake. I mean, like I said, I still like the song, but I'm just over here thinking to myself like, damn, this is a love song right here. And even in an interview with I think he did an interview and Dr. Dre was even saying how you supposed to be this hard ass gangster and you making this love song and stuff like that. Where 50 was like, 50 pretty much said that he has different personalities and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I hate when I hate when people call me and text me their video and shit. I need to stop doing this on do not disturb. But anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know it was for the ladies. I know that, and like I said, I'm cool about that. But mind you, one of the biggest reasons you went after Ja Rule was because of him doing all these songs, the Shanti, all these love songs and whatnot. But again, I don't want to. I just always say what I gotta say, but I'm gonna say most of that when I talk about the Massacre album. Because next track, um, don't push me. Don't push me is a very solid joint right here, pretty much. Very solid joint, just possessing his possessing his gangsterism and shit like that. I mean, they did do their thing on this joint. And the last track off this album, oh, I'm sorry, Don't Push Me also featured Lloyd Banks and Eminem. They all did their thing. And track number 16, Gotta Make It to Heaven. Again, another very solid one. Nice way to end off this album and whatnot. But me personally, I probably ended up with a much more harder track. But you just talking about going through life and whatnot. Now he's a boss, and yeah, very very nice way to end off the album. So overall, this is a very dope joint. I mean, it's a classic album right here. I mean, this whole album is the highest selling debut in hip hop history. So it's the highest selling debut in hip hop history and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like beating out Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. The beats were very fresh for like '03. I mean, like it was very, very, very dope joint. I like the fact that I like the fact that 50 pretty much, he was just showing off his gangsterism on this track right here. Just he was like saying like, y'all may have doubted on me in the past, but now I'm here. Now I'm here to wreck some shit. Like y'all spat at me when I was at my lowest point. Now out with vengeance, and that's the one thing I always say about Get Rich or Die Trying. And I've also loved the title, like Get Rich or Die Trying. I also love the title of that joint. So yeah, man, this is a classic album, like very classic album. I'm definitely gonna give this a 5 out of 5. You know, it does have a few songs I might have done without, but it's still passable joint. So yeah, man, it's 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying, 2003. And so also before I end off this video, just want to answer like a few questions on chat. Yeah, so the Rick James and Prince Beef episode, I had a few technical difficulties last night because I have to re-download some of the clips because my laptop is stupid, but that's nothing new. And so I'm trying to do that by the end of this week, hopefully. If not, then Monday the latest, because this episode been taking me forever. And I've been so busy with a lot with life and school and stuff like that. Dealing with stupid people, but at the same time too, whenever I'm trying to get some shit done, shit will always end up getting done. So yeah, stay tuned on that. Um, the De La Soul breakdown is still going to be this Saturday. I have to actually update the YouTube announcements tonight and tomorrow. And like I said, like this review was possibly not even going to be due today, but I just wanted to get some shit done because I already had the notes written up for it. So yeah, man, definitely, definitely cannot wait. I got a lot of things to handle until the end of the year and stuff like that. Yes, Sam. I just said I'm trying to do the De La Soul episode this Saturday. As far as the time, I'm not 100% sure because if I don't go out of town on Friday and stuff like that, I'll probably be able to handle it. But more than likely, it'll probably be 9 o'clock. More than likely, but I could be wrong. I gotta see what time everyone else is free. Um, Also, I definitely want to say thank y'all so much for actually coming to this last minute review. It's not that many people, but the usual people. Eric, I'm actually doing a CD collection video November 1st and November 2nd. Oh, I was actually wanted to get up with you because you still, if you wanted to do the review on Junior Mafia's Conspiracy, um, if you have StreamYard or Zoom, we can definitely do like a pre-recorded video and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm definitely down with that too. So, with that being said, thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all so much for watching this video and whatnot. I'm actually about to go right now and handle. I'm gonna go back out, but it's your boy Reg in the building. Hope everyone has a very good day and good night. I may do another review later on tonight, depending on the time, because I have a lot of stuff to catch up on. But thank y'all so much. Peace.